Attacks on Saudi Arabia, Iranian-US conflict in Iraq, international incidents, major insurgent attacks, cross-border operations, Iranian-US conflict. The assassination of Qasem Soleimani, an Iranian major general, took place on 3 January 2020 when the United States launched a drone strike at Baghdad International Airport that targeted and killed Soleimani while purportedly on his way to meet Iraqi Prime Minister Adil Abdul Mahdi in Baghdad. Soleimani was commander of the Quds Force, one of 5 branches of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The strike occurred during the 2019 to 2021 Persian Gulf crisis, which began after the US withdrew from the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran in 2018, reimposed sanctions, and accused Iranian elements of fomenting a campaign to harass US forces in the region in 2019. On 27 December 2019, the K-1 air base in Iraq, which hosts Iraqi and US personnel, was attacked, killing an American contractor. The US responded by launching airstrikes across Iraq and Syria, reportedly killing 25 Kataib Hezbollah militiamen. Days later, Shia militiamen and their supporters retaliated by attacking the US embassy in the Green Zone. US officials justified the Soleimani strike, claiming it was necessary to stop an imminent attack, though later clarifying the legal justification of the action as being taken in response to an escalating series of attacks to protect United States personnel, to deter Iran from conducting or supporting further attacks, and to end Iran's strategic escalation of attacks. Some experts, including the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Extrajudicial, Summary or Arbitrary Executions, considered the assassination as a likely violation of international law as well as US domestic laws. Iran called the strike an act of state terrorism. The Iraqi government said the attack undermined its national sovereignty and considered it a breach of its bilateral security agreements with the US and an act of aggression against its officials. On 5 January 2020, the Iraqi parliament passed a non-binding resolution to expel all foreign troops from its territory. While, on the same day, Iran took the fifth and last step of reducing commitments to the 2015 international nuclear deal. Soleimani's killing sharply escalated tensions between the US and Iran. Iranian leaders vowed revenge, while US officials said they would preemptively attack any Iran-backed paramilitary groups in Iraq that they perceived as a threat. Many in the international community reacted with concern and issued statements or declarations urging restraint and diplomacy. 5 days after the airstrike, Iran launched a series of missile attacks on US forces based in Iraq, the first direct engagement between Iran and the US since the naval battle precipitating the Vansen incident on 3 July 1988. Following the shoot-down of Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 amidst the escalation, no additional actions took place. The modern Middle East has seen a number of occasions in which the assassination of high-level government and military figures was attempted, or at least considered. Such instances include United States air raids targeting Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi in 1986 and Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein in 1991, 1998, and 2003. In addition to successful missions to kill non-state terrorist leaders such as Osama bin Laden, Anwar al-Awlaki and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, governments conducting assassinations of foreign leaders was largely frowned upon in prior centuries. But that norm has been weakening over time, especially since World War II. The effectiveness of anti-terrorist leadership targeting has become a subject of scholarly debate, especially with regard to whether such killings are actually beneficial to a country's foreign policy goals. In the wake of the strike against Soleimani, both the topic of further eroding norms and questions regarding effectiveness were raised. The costs and benefits of foreign policy assassinations are difficult to compute, and decisions to go ahead with such actions often reflect the vague and not always realized hope that any successor to the targeted person will be less capable against, or will embody policies more favorable toward, the country taking the action. In 2014, The U.S. intervened in Iraq as a part of Operation Inherent Resolve, an American-led mission to fight the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant terror organization, and have been training and operating alongside Iraqi forces as a part of the anti-ISIL coalition. In 2017, ISIL forces in Iraq were largely defeated amidst a civil war, with the help of primarily Iran-backed Shia militias. The Popular Mobilization Forces, reporting to the Iraqi Prime Minister since 2016, and the US-backed Iraqi Armed Forces, concerning the provisional nuclear deal with Iran. Some critics of the treaty argued that Iran could make a nuclear bomb after expiry of the limited-term nuclear deal. US President Do.